Hello, good morning, students. Today we are going to begin a new chapter, Mughal Empire, Golden Age and Downfall. What was the prosperity and what was the downfall? Jalu family went on a tour to Delhi. Palak gave the album of snaps taken during the tour to her class teacher. He showed it to the students. One question was written under each picture. Looking at one of the pictures, student asked the teacher a question. Why is this lady in the picture pulling the chain of the bell? So you can see that picture. See, this lady is pulling the chain. So what was the answer? The teacher answered that this picture gives a glimpse of the system of justice during Jahangir's period. The Jahangir's period, what was the justice is given, that only showing this picture. We will get information about different Mughal rulers today. After the death of Akbar, the most powerful and influential ruler of the Mughal dynasty, Jahangir, ascended the throne of Delhi. So after Akbar, that Jahangir came to the throne. So Jahangir became the next king. The Mughal kingdom was extended far and wide during this period. So it was extended in this time, or the spread over this time. There was peace in the state. After him, during Shah Jahan's reign, many monuments were built. After Jahangir, Shah Jahan came. On that time, many monuments were built. Many of these were world famous monuments of unparalleled magnifications. So many monuments he built, so it became as a famous monuments. During his reign, the Mughal dynasty was stabilized. Later on, during Aurangzeb's rule, the empire extended, but it led to fall of the empire too. So after Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb came, but first it was extended, then empire was extended, but later it led to the fall. Let us learn about some major incidents that occurred during Jahangir, Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb. So some of the important incidents we can see the time of Jahangir, Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb. So now we'll see one by one. The first one, who was Jahangir, because already we said about after Akbar, Jahangir came. So who was Jahangir? The time duration, the tenure was 1605 to 1627, around 22 years. After the demise of Akbar, his son Salim assumed the name of Jahangir, or the conqueror of the world, and ascended the throne in 1605. So what happened after the death of Akbar, his son, his name was Salim. So he got a name of Jahangir. Underline that one. Means conqueror of the world. So who was the conqueror of the world? Jahangir. And he ascended to the throne. Prince Khusrau vaulted against him, and so Jahangir imprisoned him. So one of the Prince Khusrau revolted him, that is why Jahangir imprisoned him, put in jail. Jahangir accused Sikh Guru Arjan Singh of helping Khusrau, and so sentenced him to death. And also Jahangir was accusing or pointing Sikh Guru Arjan Singh for what? Because he was helping the Khusrau against Jahangir. That is why so sentenced him to death. He gave the punishment of death. During Jahangir's reign, Hawking and Thomas Royo visited India as representatives of the Kingdom of England and sought permission to trade in India. The time of Jahangir, then two English representatives, kings came to India, who are Hawking and Thomas Roe. So they visited and got the permission for the trading in India. Jahangir's wife. Who was Jahangir's wife? Nur Jahan. You can underline your textbook. Jahangir's wife, Nur Jahan, was very beautiful and ambitious. Most of the administrative work of the empire was handled by her because Nur Jahan also doing some of the administrative work. So she was very ambitious person. So after Jahangir, who came? Shah Jahan came. So we'll see that that already we said about the time of Jahangir 1605 to 1627. So after him 1627 to 1658 Shah Jahan came. So in his time, what are the incidents happened? Shah Jahan believed that agriculture is fundamental to the prosperity of nation. So agriculture is very important for the prosperity or the development of the nation. So he gave primary importance to agriculture and continued with the Akbar's land revenue system. That is why he gave more importance for doing the agricultural work, and he continued the Akbar's land revenue system. Land revenue system was there. So this system was continued by Shah Jahan. He appointed honest and hardworking officers. For this purpose, he appointed some of the hardworking officers. Shah Jahan established a new city near Delhi and named it Shah Jahanabad. Underline that one. Shah Jahan established a new city near Delhi named Shah Jahanabad. What is the new name of the city? Shah Jahanabad. He constructed many grand buildings there. Many buildings also he constructed. In comparison to others, the Mughal Empire's income and revenue was more during Shah Jahan's reign. In his time, the Shah Jahan's time period, so revenue and also the income was more to the nation. Shah Jahan constructed world famous monuments like which are Taj Mahal, Diwani Khas in the Red Fort, then Rang Mahal, Moti Masjid, Jama Masjid of Delhi. So these are the some of the monuments Shah Jahan constructed. So which are Taj Mahal, Diwani Khas in Red Fort, and also Rang Mahal, Moti Masjid, then Jama Masjid of Delhi, etc. he constructed. Then next we will see that after Shah Jahan, who came? Aurangzeb. So his time period is 1658 to 1705, because already we have seen that Shah Jahan time period was 1627 to 1658. After 58, then Aurangzeb came. He took charge from 1658 to 1707. Aurangzeb's memory was extraordinary sharp, because sharp memory he had. He was well versed in the Arabic and Persian language and had studied the Qurani Sharif in detail. So because already we said about extraordinary memory he had, that is why he learned the well versed in the Arabic and Persian language. That is why studied that Qurani Sharif in detail. Aurangzeb disliked art, music and painting. He had any interest for art, music and painting. Veer Durga Das waged a prolonged war with Aurangzeb for 25 years in order to free Marwar. That is why then Aurangzeb, Veer Durga Das waged a prolonged war, and that was in the for 24 years in order to free Marwar and to make free Marwar for that purpose. Aurangzeb also fought against the Shia states of Bijapur and Golconda in south for 25 years. In Maharashtra, Shivaji established the Maratha kingdom in South India and had constant conflicts with Aurangzeb. So in Maharashtra, Shivaji established a Maratha king. That is why then what happened? He had the conflict with Aurangzeb. The Jats and Sikhs too revolt against in Aurangzeb. Jat and Sikhs too revolted against Aurangzeb. Then after knowing about some of the incidents that occurring during the rule of Mughal Emperors Jahangir, Shah Jahan or Aurangzeb, now let us learn about their social life and administration. So now we have seen that some of the incidents occurred in the time of Jahangir, then Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb. Next lesson or next part we will see that then social life. So students, thank you. Thank you for listening this section. Good morning students. Second part of this lesson we are going to discuss about social life of Mughal emperor. Society was based on the feudal system during the Mughal era. So feudal system was established. The king and his courtiers led a life of pleasure and luxury. The king as well as the court people, they were living in the life of pleasure and a luxurious life. The emperors and armies were fond of expensive cloth and jewelry because the emperor or the king as well as the army people, they were using the expensive cloth and jewelry. They liked that one. Abul Fasl has written that about 1000 expensive garments used to be made for the emperor every year. So Abul Fasl written in his book, then every year 1000 expensive garments were used. During this time, Gujarati traders conducted business on a large scale and a large volume of goods were imported and exported from the port of Gujarat. From port of Gujarat, then many large scale as well as in the large volume of goods were imported as well as exported also. Festivals were celebrated with a lot of pomp and grandeur. With the great celebration, grand celebration, they were celebrated their festivals. Then, during Jahangir's reign, Dasara was celebrated in a grand manner, and also the Dasara celebration, they were celebrating in a good manner or in the grand manner. Foreigners did not have the right to take away wealth from India, and also the foreigners, they don't have any right to take our wealth from our country. Next we'll see that the economic condition, social life we have seen. Next we'll see that economic life or the economic condition. We can know about the economic condition prevalent during the Mughal era from Abul Fasl's book. So in the Abul Fasl books, everything they were written. At that time, 55.5 ratal was equal to 1 man. That was the ratio. Then 5.5 ratal was equal to 1 man. That is the old unit of weight. So they were weighting the thing that was the old unit ratal. And then shawls from Lahore, durais from Fatehpur Sikri, cotton cloth from Gujarat and Dakshas muslin were very famous and popular products. So these are the some of the important products also. Some of the what is the meaning of durais? Durais means like a type of carpet, and also some what is in the traditional costly dresses. So these all the things were very famous and popular products made. Good was exported and imported from Kambat, Surat, Bharuch and many port of Bengal. So many goods were exported and imported from these are the port. Then villages were self-reliant at that time. So no need to depend anyone. So they were confident in living their life. Villagers themselves produce most of the goods that they required, because which are the goods they need, they were producing or they were preparing for their important or the most important goods. So one of the activities given here, what is that? Get the information about the way in which the festival were celebrated in your village or city than 30 years ago. So you can collect some of the information from your parents or grandparents. Find out about the products made in your village or city that do not have to be imported. So the product is there but not able to import. Then next we will see that art and literature of the Mughal period. What was the art and literature of the Mughal period? The Mughal rulers were very fond of grand palaces because they liked big palaces. Hindu style of architectural decoration merged with the Islamic style of constructing palaces and domes. And also what they were doing, because then Hindu style of architectural decoration, they are taken from what is in the Islamic style. And in that way they were constructing their palaces and domes. Domes means like a half circle entrance of the palace. Then Shah Jahan built many renowned monuments and is known as the constructor of palaces. So Shah Jahan is known as that one because the constructor of palaces, because he built a many renowned monuments. That is why he is known as the constructor of palaces. You can underline also in your textbook. Then constructor of the palaces. He also patronized many artistic and so encouraged art, and also he was encouraging the art. The Rajput rulers were very fond of painting and so patronized the art of painting. The Rajput people, they liked to do the painting. That is why that also patronized the art of painting. He made his own. Jahangir too was fond of collecting painting. So he also interested for the painting. Then the Mughal era is considered to be a peaceful period on the whole, because it was the very peaceful time, the time of Mughal era. It was a favorable time for the development of literature, and Sanskrit books were translated, historical volumes were written, and Hindi literature received patronage. So that is why in the one of the development was there, because the time, it was the favorable time for the development of literature developed. Then Sanskrit books also translated in the other language. Then historical volumes were written, and Hindi literature also received past patronage. The dohas of Kabir and Rahim and Sakhi became very famous. So these were the important or the famous one. Then Dakshan Raskhan, a disciple of Vaishnav, Acharya Vithalanchi composed Hindi poetry, and also Hindi poet was there. So he composed the Hindi poetry. Many foreign travelers came to India during this period, and also some of the foreign travelers, and they also came to India to visit India. They have described the state administrative system and the common life of the people in the travelers. So what was the system, what was the administrative system, and what was the life of the people, that also they explained. Two French travelers, Tavernier and Bernier, visited India during that time. So two French travelers came to India and they visited. Of them, Bernier lived in India for 12 years. Among these two, then Bernier lived 12 years in our country. He had observed that Mughal rulers used to spend a great sum on the army. He understood that then Mughal rulers used to spend a great sum on the army. They were used more money for the army or on the army. They called the army more. He has also mentioned appreciatively that Indian textiles were very famous in the market of Europe and Asia, and also he was appreciating, and also he was mentioned that the Indian textiles and the Indian clothes were very famous in the market of Europe and Asia. Then things to know that in the present time, what percentage of the budget is allowed for the army in our country? So how much budget is given for the army? Why are short words like Doha and Saki popular among people? That we will see after. Then downfalls. Now till now we were discussing about what was the prosperity or the why this Mughal era is known as that a golden era. Now we are going to discuss about the downfall. Why this Mughal era became what is in down, then or became fail. Shah Jahan's reign can be considered as the golden age of the Mughal emperor. So underline that one. Shah Jahan's reign or the ruling time can be considered as the golden age of Mughal empire. One can say that the downfall of the Mughal empire started in the later years of Shah Jahan. After Shah Jahan only, then Mughal empire started to the downfall. Aurangzeb policies too proved fatal. So the Aurangzeb policy, which are the policies has taken by then Aurangzeb, that was very the fatal, or it proved that it was very failure. Aurangzeb struggled continuously. Among these, the conflicts with the Veer Durgadas in the north and Maratha Kesari Shivaji in the south are noteworthy. So, among these two people, from what is in the Veer Durgadas, he is from the north and Maratha Kesari Shivaji is from south. Then they were the two important people. So, he had a conflict with these two people. The first one, Veer Durgadas. After the demise of the king of Jodhpur, his queen and her son were under the threat of the Mughal rulers. So their life was little dangerous. That is why at the demise of the king of Jodhpur, his queen, his wife and her son were under the threat of the Mughal rulers. So they are because they afraid of the Mughal rulers. Veer Durgadas sheltered them at the safe place. That is why they made a shelter for this, for a safety place. After that, with the help of loyal soldiers, he protected Marwa's independence for 25 years. Aurangzeb was successful in dealing with their strategy of launching surprise attacks and had ultimately reconciled with the Rajaput. He had a reconciliation with the Rajaput. See that here we can see the coronation, the ceremony of Shivaji, or what is the becoming the king. That celebration ceremony we can see in the picture. Then second one is that Chhatrapati Shivaji. So students, then third part we will see that the Chhatrapati Shivaji. Thank you students. Thank you for listening my class. Hello students. In the last class we were discussed about the downfall of Mughal Empire. Then Aurangzeb had some of the conflict with Veer Durgadas and then Shivaji. So in the last class we were discussed about Veer Durgadas. Today's class we are going to discuss about Chhatrapati Shivaji. As a consequence of Aurangzeb's policy, many kingdoms revolted against him because his rules and policies not able to accept for many other kingdoms or for the kings. Maratha's kingdom was one amongst them. So among them, Maratha was one of the revolted kingdom. Then the Maratha Sardars or chieftains who worked for the Brahmani Sultan enjoyed jagirs or large landholding. But the need to establish an independent and strong Maratha kingdom arose with the emergence of Shivaji Bhonsale, the brave and capable leader. So Shivaji Bhonsale was one of the brave and capable leader. So that is why he need to establish the independent and strong Maratha kingdom. So what happened? Later Shivaji Maharaj, his son, took over the mantle of the Maratha kingdom. So all the responsibility was taken by then Shivaji Maharaj, his son, and took all the responsibility. Shivaji Bhonsale was born in 1630 CE in the Shivaneri fort. You may underline your textbook, you can underline. Then the Shivaji Bhonsale was born in 1630 in Shivaneri fort. He was raised by his mother Jijabai and mentor Dadoji Kondev. So, because he was under his mother Jijabai and mentor Dadaji Kondev. He dreamed to establishing a small and an independent kingdom at Mumbai. He had a dream. What was the dream? To establish a small and an independent kingdom. Where? At Pune. He inherited his self-respect, fearlessness and brilliance from his mother and learned the intricacies of administrative policies. So he got the some kind of capacity for what? Because he had that already he had some of the self respect he got, and he doesn't have any type of fear. That is why he inherited his self-respect, then fearlessness and brilliance from his mother. She had that much of quality and learned the intricacies of administrative policies from his grandfather. So administrative policies also he had. Then he was fortunate enough to have a good friend, and also he got a good friend like Tanaji. So Tanaji was one of the good friend. Gradually he expanded his army, and at the tender age of 16, so at the age of 16 he expanded his army. He started capturing fort. So in that way he started to capture the fort. Torana, Chakhan, Singhagad, Purandar were some of the fort captured by him. So these are the fort captured by Shivaji. Then Shivaji was coronated in 1674 CE after several confrontations with the Sultan of Bijapur and the Mughals of Delhi. He had some kind of in the confrontation with the Sultan of Bijapur and the Mughals of Delhi. He worked hard to establish a smooth and efficient administrative system. For the efficient administrative system, he worked hard to establish this type of system. He formed a cabinet of 8 members for the proper administration of the state. So he made a 8 group of peoples. What is one of the cabinets? So for the proper administration of the state. Then what was the end of Mughal rule? End of Mughal rule. The Mughal army was tired of waging war against the Marathas in the south for 25 long years. So they had some kind of war. At last, Aurangzeb decided to retreat towards the north. So that is why he decided to go back to north. He had also become old by that time. So and also age also became more. That is why he became old. After his demise or the death, the decline of the Mughal Empire began. So after his death, that Mughal Empire became declined. Struggle for the throne broke out. Then struggle also was there for the throne. There was no capable ruler who could keep everybody together. So there was not a capable rule to work together. Aurangzeb's narrow-minded policies were responsible for the end of the Mughal Empire. So what was the reason for the Mughal Empire? What was the reason for the Mughal Empire to decline? So what is that? Aurangzeb's narrow-minded policies were the responsible for the end of the Mughal Empire. The Mughal Empire, which was established in 1526 CE, started declining from 1707 CE. The empire set up by Babur extended over most of India in Aurangzeb time. That is why then Babur he set up extend the over most of Indian Aurangzeb's time and during the reign itself, starting the declining. Then discuss about the Mughal Empire on the basis of the points given in box 7, box 6, 7. Then here we can see one other thing, read and discuss. This box, which are the things is given. So already need to discuss about the Mughal Empire on the basis of the points. So with the help of a man, find out about the extension of the Mughal Empire during Akbar's reign. So then whenever we are having the time to discuss, we can do that one. With the help of a map, find out about the extension of the Mughal Empire during Aurangzeb. The Aurangzeb, which are the places were extended. From among the Mughal rulers who extended the empire the most during his reign. So who extended more? During whose reign did the downfall of the Mughal Empire begin? So all the things just now we discussed, and you know well about this paragraph. So this for our discussion to understand and all. So students, thank you for listening my class.